Hello guys, everyone's been looking at this channel called His Story, so I thought I'd check some of their videos out too.
When my dad found out he was refereeing my soccer game, he told me in the tunnel, "I'm not playing favorite son, don't expect special treatment." I smiled because I actually wanted a fair game, but then the other team's striker Mason elbowed my ribs in the air, and I fell. But dad just gave me a yellow card for diving and gave the ball to Mason.
So
I thought he just missed the foul, but next time I had the ball, Mason kicked me in the shin. I went down, clutching the already forming bruise, but dad just shrugged and said, "I told you I'm not playing favorites." That's when Mason whispered in my ear, "I'm gonna injure you," and he won't even call it. My blood ran cold, and the rest of the game Mason kicked my calves and dragged my hair. Dad never blew his whistle. I remember seeing the bruises covering my shins and getting so angry I wanted to leave. But then Mason slide tackled so hard I heard a crunch. I instantly dropped and screamed in pain. Sure, my legs were broken, but dad finally blew his whistle. Foul. He showed Mason a yellow card, and Mason flailed his arms. "That's not a foul. You're only saying that because he's your son." I remember laughing at how stupid that was because he'd been fouling me all game. But then suddenly, I saw Mason's dad in the crowd. "You're cheating, ref." He was pointing at my dad. That wasn't a foul. He leapt the barricade and started running towards us with his fists clenched. He punched my dad in the jaw before anyone could react and stood over him. "How's that for a foul? My boy isn't fouling anyone. Stop helping your son." Mason grinned, and when I looked at dad on the ground, I got angry and stood up despite my bones crunching. "Your son's been injuring me all game, you idiot. Don't touch my dad." I shoved Mason's dad in the chest. His eyes went wide, and he cocked his arm back to swing at me. But then security guards tackled him. They dragged him off screaming, while Mason shouted, "Let him go." When dad stood up, he immediately ordered Mason off the pitch. Mason stormed off stomping his cleats. I laughed hard, but then dad turned to me and pulled out a red card. "That's for assaulting a fan. You're out of the game too." My smile dropped. I unpaused Billie Jean, and the song started blasting from my 4-year-old sister's stomach. My AirPod case was sitting open on the desk with one AirPod missing. I immediately ran over to Alice, who was fast asleep, because she'd swallowed my AirPod, and I had no idea how to get it out of her. I pressed my ear against her belly, and Michael Jackson was in there, mid-verse. I instantly opened Safari, and my thumbs moved rapidly across my screen as I looked up. What happens when a kid swallows an AirPod? And all the results said the same thing. Bring them to an emergency room. No exceptions. The chorus started playing, and Alice's eyes shot open. She sat up with both hands on her belly, grinning ear to ear. "There's music in my tummy." I sat her on my lap while I dialed 911, patting her back to calm her down. When they answered, I spoke quickly. "My little sister swallowed an AirPod, and it's inside her. What do I do? Is she going to die?" The woman responded, "An ambulance is on the way. Keep her as still as you can. Too much movement, and it could damage her organs permanently." I put the phone on speaker and kept patting Alice's back the way mom does after dinner, but she wouldn't stop dancing to the chorus on my lap. I gently gripped her shoulders to get her to stop. Suddenly, the AirPod shot out of her mouth, bounced off my knee, and landed on the carpet, still playing Billie Jean. The speaker crackled. "Sir, is the child okay?" Alice grabbed the phone. "More than okay." She planted both feet on the floor and moonwalked across the carpet. When the song ended, she grabbed the AirPod off the carpet and held it up with both hands. Again, I was counting crumpled bills for my overpriced New York rent when I noticed a rat on my kitchen floor, staring directly at me. I took off my shoe to kill it, but I froze because it didn't run. It scurried to the stove and started squeaking like crazy, like it was trying to tell me something. I raised my shoe, and it threw itself at the stove crack, desperate to reach something back there. I lowered my shoe because I've seen rats my whole life, but I'd never seen one act like this. What did it want? I crept to the stove to investigate, and my nostrils flared, gas hissing from the crack behind it, and the rat circled faster, squealing. Was it showing me the leak? The apartment was filling fast, and one spark, a light switch, anything, would blow the whole place. My hands shook as I grabbed the shutoff valve, but it was rusted solid and wouldn't move. The fumes burned down my throat until the room tilted, so I dialed 911. They yelled, "Get out now! A leak that size could blow any second." Every breath made me dizzier as I stumbled for the door, but the rat was still there, throwing itself at the stove, and I couldn't leave it to die when it just saved my life. So I scooped it up and ran, but my elbow caught the light switch. I heard the spark before I felt the heat on my back. I clutched the rat to my chest and dove, and the explosion hurled me into the hallway as flames tore through everything I owned. Moments later, I woke up on the hallway floor, the rat somehow still pressed to my chest, both of us breathing. Firefighters rushed past me, shut off the gas, and yanked the burnt stove away from the wall. One of them gasped, and everyone stopped to look down. Behind the stove sat a huge block of cheese, melted and black around the edges from the explosion. The rat squirmed out of my hands and darted to the cheese, devouring the whole block with his hands pressed on it, and it finally clicked. The rat never saved my life. It just wanted the cheese stuck behind that stove, while the apartment I couldn't afford turned to ash. But then a firefighter picked it up, stupid rat, and chucked it out the window as it squirmed squealed. The cool older kids befriended me because I had a prosthetic leg, and during lunchtime they would make me take it off and hop around on my one good leg for their entertainment. But one day they got bored, and while I was hopping around on one leg, one of them named Jason walked over and swept my leg out from under me. I hit the ground hard and hurt my leg, and they laughed, and Jason threw my prosthetic at me, then walked away. That night I treated my good leg and taped as much metal to my prosthetic as I could. The next day, the older kids came up to me and told me to hop. I took my prosthetic off, and they pulled out their phones, expecting entertainment. Instead, I swung my prosthetic at Jason's kneecap as hard as I could. I heard his knee shatter, and he hit the ground. He started groaning in pain. "My knee!" And all his friends started laughing at him instead. I reattached my leg and told him, "Now you hop to the nurse's office," and walked away.
Now let's watch his oldest short.
A teenager tortured my dog for fun, then threatened to do it again. My dog had gone missing for a few hours, and when I finally found him, he was standing outside another house in my neighborhood.
What?
He was covered in bruises, his eye was swollen shut, and blood was still dripping down his side. The teenager walked out and didn't apologize. He just told me to keep my dog on a leash, or he'd do it again. I rushed him to the vet, but he was too far gone. I had to put him down just to spare him the suffering. That dog was the only memory I had left of my late wife, Helen. So I called in a few favors, and found out everything about this kid. His school, his job, his girlfriend. He was enrolled at a Catholic private school, and when I told them what he did, they expelled him within the week. His girlfriend was vegan and an animal lover, so convincing her to break up with him was easy. I sprinkled in a few lies, and she destroyed his car for revenge. Then my friends and I posed as customers at his job and filed complaints until his manager fired him on the spot. His life was gone within days, and as he was walking home after getting fired, I ran him over with my
We
truck.
checked out his story. Let's check out her story. This is her story. She has 2.1 million. Let's see, I think hers are just exact.
I pushed my plate away and told Mom I'm full, but she slammed her fork and shoved the plate back to me. "You're gonna finish your food." I stared in disbelief because the portion she'd given me was just as big Dad's portions used to be. But my stomach hurts with how full I am. She didn't respond and slammed the fork in my hands. I said eat. I was scared and slowly took a bite, chewing slowly so I wouldn't throw up. The doorbell rang and I heard my friends ask if I could come out, but Mom said not until she finishes dinner. She stormed back and physically shoved another spoonful in my mouth. "I worked too hard for you to waste food. You're gonna eat this until it's done." I sat there for 4 hours, taking a small bite every 15 minutes because that's all I could manage. Mom stayed still the entire time, watching with these angry eyes I couldn't read. 6 hours in, something in me broke. I dropped my fork and cried, screaming, "Why are you making me eat when I'm already full? You've never done this before." That's when Mom cracked. She slid off her chair onto her knees and started crying. "I'm sorry. Yesterday was Dad's funeral, so I made your plate as big as his on purpose." She gripped my hand. "He always finished his dinner, so I thought if you finished it too, it would feel like he was still here." My chest went cold, and I leaned down to wrap my arms around her. "It's okay, Mom." That's when everything she'd made me eat for 6 hours came up all over her.
Basically, just like the guy.
The safari jeep hit a ditch and launched me into the mud. I spat out dirt and immediately turned around to get back on, but the jeep was already driving away. The tour guide leaned out his window. "Sorry, but we have to leave you. It's the rule." They sped off down the loop trail, and my heart was beating out of my chest because I had no way to get back. And behind me, I heard something heavy moving in the water. I turned around, splashing the water behind me, and saw a crocodile with its jaws wide open. I kicked it in the eye, and for a second, it thrashed backward. I was catching my breath, looking around for something I could use as a weapon to defend myself, when I spotted more crocodiles emerging from the water. I scanned the swamp for anything to swing, found nothing but mud, so I cracked my knuckles and decided I wasn't about to let myself get beached by some little fish. "Oh, it's on!" I jumped on the big one's back, wrapped my arms behind its jaws, and bit its skull until my teeth ached. It rolled, so I bit harder until it went limp and all the other crocodiles swam away. An hour later, the engine came back around the bend right on schedule, and I was standing in the swamp, caked in crocodile blood. It skidded to a stop a foot from my knees, and the tour guide gasped, "You're still alive?" I crossed my arms, and he said, "Either get back in the jeep or get out of the way. You can't block the road. We're on a schedule." I yanked his door open and shoved him out into the mud, then climbed into his seat, adjusted his mirror, and leaned out the window like he had. "Sorry, but we have to leave you. It's the rule." I immediately started driving, and in the rear view, I could see the crocodiles coming back for him. My 7-year-old son was playing with his Bop It toy from the yard sale. "Twist it!" He twisted it, and I laughed until it said, "Take a $100 bill out of your mom's purse. Steal it." I rubbed my eyes in shock. Why was a toy telling my son to steal? My son came running into the kitchen and reached his hand into my purse. "Dean, what the hell was that?" Dean took out the $100 bill and shrugged. "It's just a game, Mommy." I grabbed the toy out of his hand and bopped it in the middle. It spoke again. "Now bring the money to 45th Street. Come alone. Do not tell your mom. Bring it." Dean tugged my sleeve. "Mom, pretend you didn't hear that. I don't want to lose the game." I grabbed my keys because we were going to find out exactly who was behind this. Then let's Let's go win, baby. I'll drive you. We got in the car, and when I pulled onto 45th Street, there was a line of kids clutching Bop-Its and fistfuls of bills. My eyes widened because I realized they'd all been scammed just like my son. We got out to follow the line, and my grip tightened on Dean's shoulder because it led straight to the same yard sale we bought the Bop-It from. I pulled my son behind a truck and dialed 911 while the man patted a kid on the head as he took his money. Good job, buddy. You won the game. Come back at the same time next week. When 2 squad cars rolled up, the man raised both hands with a big, friendly smile. Officers, it's a yard sale. Kids love toys. Then a cop lifted the garage door behind him, and there it was. A whole wall of Bop-Its that had been taken apart, sitting beside stacks of cash. He'd been rigging the toys with speakers before he sold them, so every kid who bought one got tricked into giving him money. They cuffed him against his own folding table. Dean tugged my sleeve, and the 100 bill was still crumpled in his fist. Mom, did I lose the game? I kissed his head. No, baby, you ended it.
Let's see who started later. Okay, the oldest.
When I saw my husband's newest friend over for dinner, I knew I had 60 seconds to leave the house. I came home from work and my husband was beaming in the kitchen. Hey babe, I want you to meet someone. My new friend from work. He's making us dinner tonight. A man stepped out from behind the counter. My blood turned to ice. I recognized that face immediately. I'd seen it in every one of my nightmares for 3 years. This is Chase. He's like a brother to me already. My husband gleamed. Chase smiled at me. A calm, friendly smile. Nice to meet you. My legs almost buckled. He'd found me. For context, I was kidnapped when I was 19. A college freshman, walking home alone from a late study session. I was wearing headphones when a van pulled up beside me. I didn't even have time to react before a hand clamped over my mouth and dragged me inside. I was duct taped and driven for hours. The man took me to a house in the middle of nowhere, kept me in a soundproof basement chained to a pipe. I was there for 4 months. He came down every night, sometimes twice, called me his project, said he was training me, made me thank him when he was done. He took photos, videos, made me say things into the camera, said if I ever escaped, he'd send the footage to everyone I loved. When I fought back, he burned me with cigarettes. The night I escaped, he forgot to lock the door. I ran bare.
Okay. This is his story and her story. I think they also post videos. Yeah, they do. Expensive, like, It's just compilations. My worst enemy became my best friend. I survived this extreme truth or dare. I wonder what these videos are about.
Iconic. Spicy. Brilliant.
I spent most mornings talking to the ghost of my mother. The headstone was cold between her fingers. Suddenly, the door at the back of...
Okay, so it's just like a giant story in each one. Well, that's going to be all for today. If you want me to see more of these people, then